The U.S. is actively pursuing a second hostage deal as well as humanitarian assistance to Gaza. In the latest, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken held a telephonic conversation with his Saudi counterpart Prince Faisal bin Farhan about the Israel-Hamas war. According to the Saudi Foreign Ministry, during the call, the duo discussed regional and international issues of common interest, particularly the developments in the Gaza Strip and its surroundings. The two sides also discussed the efforts to deal with the security and humanitarian repercussions of the Gaza war. Now, according to a statement released by the U.S. State Department, Blinken will travel to Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Qatar, Israel and the West Bank from Sunday through to Thursday next week. This will mark his fifth West Asia visit since October 7th attacks. Meanwhile, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations said that a draft Security Council resolution put forward by Algeria could jeopardize sensitive negotiations aimed at brokering a pause in fighting in Gaza. Algeria shared the draft, which demanded an immediate humanitarian ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. The draft, however, rejects the forced displacement of the Palestinian civilian population and again demands full, rapid, safe and unhindered humanitarian access into Gaza. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres also discussed ongoing efforts to enforce the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip with Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Jassim Al Thani. Meanwhile, British Foreign Secretary David Cameron reiterated British support for a two-state solution. Cameron said that he told Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to start talking about the things a Palestinian state can be rather than the things it cannot be.
I said, countries like Britain, part of our policy, which has always been in favour of a two-state solution, is to say there will be a time when we would look to recognise that state, including at the United Nations. That can't be at the start of the process. The process needs to get going, but it doesn't have to be at the end of the process.
When migration agency is concerned.
More than 800 officials in the US, the UK and the EU have released a public letter of dissent against their government support of Israel in its war in Gaza. According to current and former officials spearheading or supporting the initiative, the letter marks the first time that officials from ally nations across the Atlantic have united to publicly criticize their governments over the war. The US, Israel, Egypt and Qatar last week drafted a proposal for an extended pause in fighting and are awaiting a response from Hamas. The only truce so far lasted a week in late November last year. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.